Let's Science is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
3, 2, 1.
We live in a universe of scientific wonders.
Every day, scientists are inching towards breakthroughs which can change our lives.
We're playing our small part in sharing these wonders with you.
That's why today is a fine day for science.
So let's science.
So it's one of those things, Lino, where talking about science without Caroline means we're on our own.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we've done great topics. Come on, guys.
We've had some, actually, you know, like
we've had a few good ones, yeah.
We get to bring the kind of like funny ones, like that are a bit funnier, a bit quirkier.
But it's science, but
Yeah.
it's a great little twist inside. And you know, Caroline's science segments are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I actually learned from Caroline's once. So
Exactly. Yeah. yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yours and my science is like, it's on the level of like Ripley's Believe It or Not, with sprinkled with a dusting of science. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's correct. That's correct. Look, this is the science where you guys have chosen that. You know, it's borderline between does it really happen, or what's going on here? We need to listen more.
All right, Lino, let's get the score sheet out, okay? So, Lino Lindsay's first science for the year, I believe it was Roman concrete. Is that right?
Roman concrete.
All right, so self-strengthening concrete. So that was a good one, yeah? All right, our second one was melting robots.
Melting robots.
Robots that could, you know, shape themselves, reshape themselves. Yeah, right, yep. And the third one, mushrooms. We talked about mushrooms, how they communicate with each other.
Yes. Communication mushrooms.
Yeah.
And there's a science behind it. And there are the facts. And they are. We're not making it up.
Yep.
There was just definitely jokes. Come on, it had to be. And I think we got into trouble. Anyway, I don't
know if we got into trouble. I think, no, only with Caroline. No, not really, no. So our, although there were a lot of jokes, like sort of dad jokes and puns, there were a few on Discord, about mushrooms. That was, which I liked, by the way. Well done with that. There were a few contenders for today's science. All right. So
okay.
One was a prehistoric animal. I can't even remember what it was about. I forgot. All right. It was interesting, but whatever.
Okay. I love dinosaurs. I love
yeah, I know. And it's actually when Caroline brings, like, we talked about ancient drop bears once, and that was amazing, right?
Whoa.
Caroline brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe how big they were back in those days.
The other one I had was about a sea creature that they found that looks very much like a face hugger from Aliens, which I thought was
it? Oh yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, you saw that? Yeah. It looked like it was going to, just like wrap itself around your face, and
yeah, whoa.
However, I thought we might swoop in a different topic. And that is, it's a very Australian topic, and that is the topic of actually the science of surviving a magpie swooping. Now, this is both a funny topic and a serious topic at the same time, because we do have a thing about laughing about getting swooped by magpies, by these birds, because it happens, as the spring starts to roll around, the magpie attacks start to increase. And, sometimes there are videos that are quite funny or quite like, whoa, helmet cameras of magpies, pecking away at someone's helmet while they go through, their territory and whatever. However, there have also been things like eye injuries, ear, they attack ears, And for anyone who says, yes, Australia is full of animals that are trying to kill me, you win this one. All right. This is yours. You can have it.
Wow.
You can have it. So I thought I might just set the tone. For anyone who doesn't know what a magpie is, this is what they sound like. All right, so that's a magpie sound.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know what? Actually, in my research, magpies are highly intelligent birds, and their singing is actually quite beautiful, and they can learn different tunes as well. So they teach them. Yeah, they teach each other to sing. There's a clip in the show notes so the clip I just played was royalty free, so I can play it 100 times. The clip I wanted to also play is on YouTube, so I don't want to get us banned on YouTube, or I don't want to blow up the network just because of a bird noise. So it's in the show notes. There's one where and it was during the I think it was the 2019 bushfires. Don't get me wrong about this, but in a particular area, I think of New South Wales, a magpie learned the sirens of the firefighters, or the fire engines, the fire trucks, I should say. And the magpie, it actually makes the sound of, just over and over again. It makes the fire truck sound.
Cool.
So they can learn tunes.
Nice.
And, but it kind of tells you how many fire trucks must have been going through the area for the magpie to learn that sound as well, how serious the fires were. But and there are other ones. There's an old clip on YouTube from the 1970s of a guy surrounded by magpies on his porch, and he's playing harmonica and they're singing along with him. And, so magpies, they're interesting because they can be friendly birds to humans. They can learn your face and recognize you as someone you can trust, but they can also be quite dangerous in other situations as well. And we're not talking about dangerous. We're not talking about dangerous in like forests and, bushes. We're talking about on streets. In parks, in very local places. So this is how serious it is. Someone set up a website called magpiealerts.com. There's a link in the show notes. And what happens is users can type in where and when they've encountered a magpie. And then there's a map of Australia that you can zoom in on, and you can click on. You'll see little magpies that are yellow or red. Yellow meaning they've been swooping, red meaning someone was actually like injured. They drew blood.
Oh, goodness me.
Yeah, right. Okay. And you can click and you can see what the incident was. And, there were actually a couple around Narre Warren, which was a bit scary for me. But anyway, So here is what 3 people said. So the first one, this was on the 11th of August this year. So already even in our cold weather, we've had some sunny weather and the magpies are already starting a little bit early. So magpie attack on cyclists. 12 Burke Street, Windale, New South Wales. Just west of the skate park, came out of the tree in the south and swooshed through my hair, and then went back in the tree to observe with his beady eyes. That was the first one. The second one, August the 16th, and these are ones that I've just pulled. There's actually 180 something at the moment.
Wow.
Magpie attack on cyclists, the C9 Western Creek ACT. So this is a bike track near a freeway, I think. Old mate up to his usual tricks again. Mainly a problem on the inbound side of Cotter Road, just past the Parkway off ramp. You should be fine if you stick to the separated bike path on the south side of Cotter Road. Not that aggressive in magpie terms. Probably a 6 out of 10. Needs to try harder. All right, so that was I know, right? Yeah, just you are asking for trouble, my friend. If you don't,
Oh, buddy.
You are asking for trouble. Don't encourage, And this last one is magpie attack on Walker 5 Leslie Court, Salisbury East, South Australia 5109. All right, so it said, bird relentlessly swooped me, did not touch my head though, but it followed me up the road even though I tried to lose it by changing direction. Eventually we had a stare standoff and it gave up and flew away. Yeah, so those are the magpie encounters. There are many, many more. I didn't bring the ones up where it drew blood, but there are a couple where someone, had an injured eye, injured ears, mainly things like that. Yeah. So I myself, in recent weeks, have also been partaking in the magpie swooping as well. Not as a magpie, but as one who was harassed. As one who was harassed. I was a participant in some magpie harassment. And I won't give the address and the location or else like these guys have. However, at my school, there is a clump of trees on the oval where during spring, the magpies start to lay eggs and do nests and whatever else. So there were some children in an out of bounds area of the oval. So I was on yard duty. So I was just doing my teacherly duty to walk over and, move them on to go and be silly and play in the grass somewhere else. So suddenly while I was walking, completely unaware, I heard a swoosh and felt the wind, and I felt the wind on my ear and that of the wings flapping. All right.
Oh yeah.
And then I heard the, it was above my head. So first it flew past my head, which was scary enough. Right. Then I could hear it. It was flying above my head and flapping. That's what they do. They kind of fly above you and flap almost stationary, right?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Like hovering.
Almost like hovering with their wings, right? And they caw at you, right? And so I straight away, my adrenaline, I felt cold. It was a warm day and I felt cold, all right, down my spine. And so I stayed calm, at least on the inside. On the outside, I mean. On the inside, I was freaking out. And I just gently walked in the, in a straight line until it gave up on me and had enough, right? And there were three students like sitting on this rock, and I'm like, guys, I'm just gonna sit here for a minute because my heart is pounding at the moment. And they're like, they're laughing or whatever. I was like, whatever. And it's like, all right. So I crossed through its territory to one side, I needed to get back to the other side.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I thought, all right, well, I'll walk around. I'll respect the bird and I'll walk around. Yeah. All right.
Yep,
so I walked, I did this big arc, like almost orbiting these trees, right? I was a big arc, but it wasn't enough. It came after me again. And so same thing, right? This time above my head and, and then so it freaked me out. So now when I do that yard duty, there's only a certain point where I'll go up to it, then and I won't go any closer. And what's even worse is it doesn't seem to be going for any of the children. It seems to be targeting the adults that are on yard duty.
Whoa, okay, Dad, I do not understand.
As an experiment, because I thought it was my fluoro.
Lindsay.
So I thought it was my fluoro vest, right? Because we have to wear a fluoro vest so that we're visible. You know, students know that we're out there and we're keeping them safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
okay. Fair enough.
Okay. When you said experiment, Liz, I thought
I did some science. All right. So the next day, I was on yard because I do it on a Thursday and Friday every 2 weeks, right? So on the next day, I was on yard duty again. This time I thought, I'll leave the vest so that it will leave me alone. It will say I'm not a threat. It should be okay, right?
Okay.
So and it was a bit cooler. So I just put my black jacket on. Some boys in the out of bounds area again, doing the, being naughty and whatever. So I walked to the area. Even with the black jacket, it swooped me again. And I was
getting, it must sort of noticed you, yeah.
And I wonder if it memorized my face and it's like red alert, threat, you know what I mean?
Oh, no, exactly. Wow.
So that leads us into a bit of science of magpies. So I've got an article here, Lino, from science.org.au, and it's called How to Survive Magpie Swooping Season. And it says, spring is the season for blooming flowers, frolicking lambs, and the wild beak-clacking terror of swooping birds.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So I'll just go through a couple of things here from this article. And there's a video which is really good, which you can watch as well. And there's some video clips that are pretty intense of like people's like magpie encounters too. Like some people wear helmet cams on their bicycles. And
yes, they do now.
And you've got a magpie right in your face on this camera. So there are a few. Yeah, it says springtime is baby time, which means it's also protect your chick time for magpie mums and dads across Australia. Australian magpies, or Gymnorina tibicin, I think it is, are protective parents. Every year between July and November, magpie dads spend 4 to 6 weeks keeping watch over their nesting site for unwelcome intruders. If a threat is spotted, the male may swoop in a defensive warning display. And by the way, not may, they do, going from personal experience.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Although other causes of swooping behavior have been proposed, including territoriality and testosterone levels, research suggests that nest defense is an underlying reason. By the way, every time it mentions research, there's a link that goes to an actual research paper, which I haven't read because there's lots of them, but you can go further if you want to. So targets of swooping behavior can include cyclists, joggers, walkers, pets, birds of prey, and even other magpies. Some magpies display marked preferences for swooping certain people, like teachers, with some specifically targeting posties and other dive bombing cyclists. By the way, it's got joggers and walkers and cyclists. It's always the joggers, walkers, and cyclists. Like I've seen Law and Order, right? No wonder magpies are, because they're really sus, yeah? So it goes on to say, a swoop can catch you unawares. And again, I agree with this completely. Occasionally, magpie swoops can even cause injury. But is the aggressive and dangerous reputation of this songbird deserved? I'll pause there for a moment. And I want to say this. In my reading about magpies and in the videos I watched, I actually came to respect and love how beautiful they are. They are beautiful birds.
They are.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there are a couple, because of defending their eggs, they have this aggressive tendency. So it says here that swooping is a strategy to safeguard the nest site, but the species itself is neither inherently dangerous nor aggressive. And this is Emeritus Professor Gisela Kaplan. Yeah. And she's a professor in animal behavior at the University of New England, who spent the last 25 years studying magpies. So it says, though, in practice, however, swooping magpies can be dangerous, according to Professor Daryl Jones, a behavioral ecologist at Griffith University. So here's what we've got. One professor is saying they're not inherently dangerous, aggressive birds. So, for example, if there's one on the grass while you're going for a walk, picking worms out of the ground, it's not going to be bothered by you at all. All right. We know that. Yeah. We've seen. Yeah. All of us have walked past hundreds of magpies. How you doing? And you keep going, right?
How you doing?
No problem.
And they keep going. Yeah. You just, like everything else, you sort of leave them alone. You know what I mean? And that would be right.
Yeah. And so this professor, Daryl Jones, he goes on to point out why they can be aggressive. So he says there are important reasons for accepting that magpies actually are aggressive. He says for very sensible reasons, such as keeping threats away from their precious nestlings. And they most certainly can be extremely dangerous. Thousands of people are injured every year. Welcome to Australia, I say. Yeah. And so they're dangerous when they're protecting their young. That's
exactly.
They're doing what they are programmed to do, right? Keep threats away from their eggs.
Yep.
And that can be threats in nature, or it can be teachers on yard duty who, for some reason, they think of threats, and cyclists and joggers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it says breeding magpies are high achievers of magpie society. They have survived years of hardship, fought hard to get territory, and have been able to find a partner. Only 1 in 20 magpie males will engage in swooping antics, while mama magpie incubates alone. 80% of humans living in magpie territory never get swooped. The 20% of us who do experience the swooping usually encounter pies in public places such as parks and busy roads. So how can you avoid this swooping this season? And what should you do if you get assailed by an overprotective bird? So the headline for this next section is how to deal with a feathered torpedo. That's the You're right. So Okay, so it says the best antidote to swooping is friendship. Magpies have excellent memories and can recognize individual faces. So if you frequent an area enough, they may recognize you as the friendly neighborhood human and won't swoop. But beware, magpies form memories, and I feel this is the category I'm in now, form memories of enemies as well as of friends. So it says those who antagonize a magpie, for example, by swinging at them with an umbrella, I did not do that, will be perceived as threats and will be treated as such. So be kind, and magpies will be kind in return. I have not experienced that part yet. And by the way, I've done nothing. I haven't waved my arms around or made noises. I've just walked on calmly. But I think because lots of people go through that area, it can't recognize, a friendly face. It's just like enemy.
Yeah,
enemy.
I think, exactly. With you guys going through like a same sort of path, yeah?
Yeah.
And they go, okay, this person's going, we'll swoop. It doesn't really matter who it is.
Yeah.
If it's a teacher or a student, I'm going for that person.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So here's what it says to do. It says, in this case, it's important to stay cool because wildly flinging your arms over your head is interpreted as aggressive behavior. And the magpie will subsequently double his efforts to drive you away. So, so you have to stay calm while you're being attacked by a magpie. You can't be like, like hands in the air or whatever, because it will say, oh my gosh, it's a big threat. Quick, I've got to, attack. So the professor in this article suggests moving away quietly from the bird's nests and engaging in calm conversation. And it says here, while showing your face gives the magpie a chance to remember you. So follow below that is a sign from the Brisbane City Council warning people that this is a swooping area. So you can see that in the show notes. There are signs placed where magpie swooping is known to happen. So,
oh my God, she's got to look out. Sorry, Lindsay was going to find a picture of it quickly. There's a few of them who do that too.
Yeah. There are smaller
Noisy
birds
miner?
that swoop. Yes, yeah.
Oh my goodness, man, I never knew those guys swoop. I always thought Magpies. Wow.
Yeah, I've been swooped by noisy miners, but they're not really as threatening, right? They're quite small, and you can see that their beak is smaller. Like it might hurt a little bit, but it's the beak of the magpie, which is really, that's the one you got to watch out for, right?
Exactly. And it's I don't know what it's called, a cousin or the another breed, maybe the crow.
Species,
the crow
crow.
Is, the crow is like a magpie, just without the colours. I mean, they're distant cousins, or I think brothers, or same sort of family, isn't it? But the crows do. Whoa, they bite hard.
Yeah, so I'm just going down a little bit more. So it talks about how there are some magpies called super swoopers, and they're males who are really, really, really dangerous. And it says it's better just to avoid them completely. Don't try and befriend them. And it's because birds in these situations just can't recognize faces, so they get ultra defensive. And it talks about the Magpie Alert website, which I talked about. It says, just check, see if swooping are being reported in those areas. And it does say, try to keep eye contact with them. So you've got to be careful about this, right? Because, there's also protecting your face as well. So you've got to be careful. But if you are able to make eye contact with it, apparently that's how it recognizes your face and sees that you're not a threat. But that doesn't necessarily work all the time. So you've got to be really, really careful. So it says, what about bicycles? What's the deal with magpies and bicycles? Because it seems to attack them a lot. So it says, attaching googly eyes or cable ties to your helmet isn't effective. In fact, it seems like helmets are an issue, as swoops increased after the introduction of mandatory helmet laws in New South Wales in 1994. So, and this is because, so helmets obscure a person's face, meaning the magpie can't determine whether the rider is a friend or a foe.
Determine whether the rider is a friend or a foe. That sort of makes sense, yeah.
And also, the speed of cyclists also appears to be a factor, as more often than not, dismounting and walking away slowly will stop the swoopnado, is what it says here. Yeah, so apparently, if you get swooped by a magpie while you're cycling, you need to get off your bike and just walk, and apparently that's better, unless, of course, it's one of those super swoopers. And it says if you're really having trouble getting your locals to become feathered friends, the occasional tidbit of heart smart mints can help, but beware of feeding them too often, as forage food is better for wild birds. Yeah. So with friendship in humans, you don't need to feed your friends all the time. You have to have them over for dinner occasionally. The same is true of birds, says Professor Kaplan. The occasional feeding is a mark of friendship. So I'm just wondering if next time on Yard Duty I should walk around with a handful of mints and see if it's better. I don't know.
Oh, Lindsay, you're going to make great friends, man. But just quickly, at work, we have a pair of magpies who come to us because my co-worker, she feeds them a bit of bread. And if I'm out there without her, they recognize me with her. You know what I mean? And they'll be asking me, they'll jump up on the lunch table and look at me and go, sorry,
Food?
sorry, buddy. Yeah, food? I go, no, sorry, mate, I don't have any. And then ignore them and they'll walk away.
Wow.
Because every time I'm up there with my workmate, she and I were eating lunch together. Yeah. The magpies will come and ask for it, but you got to be careful. Can't feed them too long.
No, that's right. Yeah, and they need to eat, what they forage as well. Like human food is not always.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'll finish with a positive note, as the article does here. It says that magpies are smart. All right, so they are placed among the 20 most intelligent animals in the world, and it says they also have a lot of character. A magpie's behavior is far more like a dog's. I would love the next magpie I encounter to go on the floor, roll over on its back, and let me scratch its belly. All right, I'd be happy for that. I would do that for the magpie. All right, I would do that for the magpie if it was, if it was nice. So it says though they enjoy sunbathing, play fighting, frolicking in sprinklers, and swinging on washing lines, and they even enjoy singing just for the fun of it, like humming, like humans do. Although they may be common in urban areas, and this is a sad part, magpie populations have been declining along the East Coast since 1998. Urban populations are increasing as drought forces the birds from inland to the coast. But overall, these iconic species is in decline. And that's a sad thing, right? So it says, the solution here it says is we need to live to learn alongside those overprotective parents for their continued survival. After all, we still have lots to discover about these super smart songbirds. And Kaplan finishes by saying, over 25 years, there has never been a boring moment with magpies. They still surprise. So, so that's magpies, Lino. Anything else you want to say to finish off this segment?
Well, look, magpies are beautiful birds in our country. And like everything else, we need to adapt with them. Because they've been here, I know I'm sort of maybe doing a little bit of a lecture here, but they've been here for thousands and thousands of years.
Well, they're nature, aren't they? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And we need to adapt with them. And we need to learn from them. And we need to live with them as well. As I like I'm saying is be alert, be friendly with them. And if they attack you, yes, it can be very stressful.
Yes.
And surprising.
It can.
Tell me about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I remember just quickly one time was back when we were working at our first place in Mulgrave. There used to be a particular tree. And I will always walk around, walk on the other side of the street away from the tree because there was a magpie always swooping people there. Not only me, but other people. I've seen it. And it is a very sometimes scary sound because you don't hear it.
Yes, yeah. You don't hear it until it's right on you. Yeah.
And right on you.
Yeah,
he just and they come up. And there is a reason for that because they are protecting your young.
Yes.
And that is with everyone. We're trying to protect our children. Yeah, protecting our families. That's their way of doing it.
That's their way of doing it. Exactly.
And if you can, be friend with them. But
yes, if you can befriend them, that's good. If the areas, if they're a super swooper or they're just not friending you at all, and it's your walk or your bicycle, your cycling route, it may be wiser to change your routes just a little bit until Maggie's moved on. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. But on a serious note, obviously be safe as well, please. You know, there's that strategies in that article, and there are lots of other strategies you can look at online to be safe. And be careful of some strategies that you're told which actually antagonize them and make them want to attack you more. Just just separate the facts from fiction so you know what to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's Science is brought to you by StarQuest Media and is a fortnightly podcast that brings you the scientific wonders of our universe from a distinctly Catholic point of view. For more from Caroline, Lindsay, and friends, listen to the StarQuest show, Catholics of Oz. Find links from today's show at sqpn.com/science. And find the Catholics of Oz at sqpn.com/Oz. Be sure to follow the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you can find podcasts, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. The generous donations of our patrons at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue Let's Science and all the shows at StarQuest, which makes our nonprofit mission possible. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Join us next time for more scientific wonders, and thank you for listening to Let's Science on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy, The Secrets of Star Wars. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Star Wars.